What up, everybody? This is Stuart Knight, author of the books Marginalizing White Supremacy, Poetic Visions, A Steep Mister for a Sister, and my latest work, A Spirit the World Has Forgotten. And it's become apparent, in the media today that, whites or the white media, or should I say the Western media, is becoming more aware and speaking out more about the construct of white supremacy. And that's a good thing. But now we as black people, are faced with the option of maintaining the course or just putting the pressure on them, as far as white supremacy is concerned, or actually beginning to break down what white supremacy is and how it functions in everyday society. Like, taking points, I was listening to this sister last night, and she was, I guess there was an article that came out recently talking about, black identity extremists again. Talking about, it was leaked, but, in my opinion, it's not leaked. It's put out there to kind of inform people that, hey, especially black people, hey, we got an eye on you niggers. We're going to start taking you niggers down. In essence, that report coming back out might be a threat directly at us, those who aspire, for black empowerment and black self-sufficiency and black excellence. But one part of the tenets that she had laid down that was in that black identity extremist doctrine was that, people who consider building separate institutions, separate communities, and separate way, separate means of conduct amongst, a group of people, some to that effect, can be considered black identity extremists. And that correlates, right along with the agenda that we as black people are beginning to put forth that has got, white supremacy so shaken now, to where in fact, they are actually openly reacting in a white supremacist manner, but like the white supremacist does lie and say that it isn't racist, or, many of the conducts they're having doesn't have any racist intent. Like Tariq Nasheed being banned from the UK simply because, maybe of a few sentences that was spoken in the movie about, the royal crown. But in my opinion, that movie is so concise in how black people need to build an ideology for themselves and why we need to, that they actually thought it would have too much of effect on the black consciousness, or the desired effect on the black consciousness of wanting to be liberated. So, those UK white supremacists practice white supremacy in disallowing a black man to execute his freedoms as long as he is not harm to a general public, physical harm to the general public. In essence, they practiced white supremacy. And like with Professor Black Truth and other YouTubers, who've had their channels taken down because they speak about black empowerment in a forward manner, I should say, lose their channels or have their voices taken away from them, simply because some individual white supremacist at, YouTube decides that I don't like this and I'm going to say it's hate speech. In essence, they get to define what they consider hate speech, even though, what is being spoken is not hateful or harming in any manner, simply because they don't like it. And that is how they practice white supremacy. So what really needs to come forward now is, like, every instance, where, the white populace executes their power, in a sense, it has to be shown that they did it, how they did it, and especially why they did it. You have to begin to show people how Western philosophy has everything, and their viewpoint of the world, that being, that the world is based off the laws of the jungle and natural selection, and that survival of the fittest is the rule amongst man, as to how people should live their lives, in a sense, that no matter who told you step on, as long as it's in the benefit of, as long as it's in in regards to your own survival, it's all good. And how, people say, how the construct that people say of you can't control your emotions is false. We have to really go back down into African philosophy and show that contradiction as it pertains to Western philosophy, how, people should govern their lives, for a more harmonious world. We have to begin to show that correlation. We have to begin to show that contrast between African philosophy and Western philosophy, and show how African philosophy actually civilized humanity, or our own humanity, long before there was a Western European, and how Western philosophy has actually regressed humanity back into the days of savagery, because Western man, or white folks, had no idea what it meant to be civil. They came from the roots of barbarism in a sense, and haven't given it up since. So in essence, they have to be re-civilized, but they got to do it themselves. We can't do it for them. We have our own diagram. We as black people need to go back to that diagram and create that counterculture to help not only ourselves, but the world in general. But don't be shy, black people, to go ahead and turn up the volume on them. Turn it up. Show how Western philosophy is wrong in a sense, and how it labels nature and the actions of the world, or the natural principles of the world, as a diagram for how man should live its existence in the form of instinctual behaviors, in the forms of putting forth or acting out instinctual behaviors that you're supposed to be able to control yourself. So get ready, black people, because they're only going to keep doing it. They're only going to keep denying, in a sense, our human rights. But they're in no position to do so as long as we have our minds right. Oh, and also, don't shy away from these people who keep saying that white supremacy don't exist, who keep wanting to say things such as, well, if you don't talk about it so much, it won't, it won't rear its head. That's nonsense. That's been our problem for the past 100 years. We refuse to accept that whites are in a domineering and dominating position in the world society as a whole, and that position is doing grave harm to the majority of non-white people, and especially black people on the planet. And they got people got that right to that opinion, even though it's delusional, but it should be confronted, or debated, I should say, not confronted, but debated. Like not too long ago, I had a chat with a cat, and he mentioned that, cats that, watch, Hidden Colors movies, shows like Hidden Colors 5, or who talk about white supremacy, only want to fight white people. And it's not about fighting white people. It's about being the best black self that we can be. And that's all. And in doing so, and in doing that, that's automatically going to raise the ire of whites. So you're going to have to, in a sense, fight back against the initiatives that they're going to put forth to suppress you. You have to. Either you got the constitution of a coward, or you got the constitution of a courageous man or woman. So I set my lot on the side of courage. Anyway, this is Stuart Knight, author of the books Marginalizing White Supremacy, Poetic Visions, A Steep Mr. for a Sister, and my latest work of Spirit the World Has Forgotten. Peace.